Let me go straight across to Ambassador Vikas Swarup, former Indian High Commissioner to Canada. Ambassador Swarup, welcome here on NDTV. With this exit of Justin Trudeau, how do you look at the India-Canadian ties, particularly at a time when it is being seen at a historic low?
Well, certainly the India-Canada ties have touched rock bottom. It's indeed a historic low. And that is why I think the departure of Justin Trudeau offers a window to reset those ties and to restore, some of the balance in the relationship that had been lost, I think, over the last 2 years.
So when you say reset, one of the lows, I would say, was also of, the fact that India decided to withdraw its High Commissioner, Mr. Sanjay Verma, and other senior diplomats because the Canadian government had named them as persons of interest for their alleged role in the killing of ProKhalistani leader Hardeep Nijjar. What happens to that investigation now? Do you think the government which comes in this interim will revisit most of these decisions which were taken by Justin Trudeau?
No, my personal sense is that that investigation will continue. After all, the RCMP has filed charges. They have arrested some suspects. So that investigation will continue. But that does not mean that just because you have an ongoing investigation, you freeze the relationship with India completely. I mean, look at the way the USA has handled this. A similar charge has been laid against us by the United States, but that has not stopped the United States from engaging with us on all fronts, whether it is defense, technology, people-to-people exchanges, everything is going ahead. In fact, is speeding ahead, I would say.
But Ambassador Swarup, here is Justin Trudeau's successor, potential successor, as is being discussed in the Canadian media. He is completely opposite of the former Prime Minister. How do you look at this entire transition from the India prism? Do you think India will be open to engagement with this, or will they be waiting for an engagement from the other side?
My sense is that, look, first of all, we have to see what unfolds on the Canadian political scene. The way things are looking at the moment, there will be a new leadership in the Liberal Party. A new leader will be chosen. When Parliament reconvenes on the 24th of March, I think that new leader will be sworn in as the new Prime Minister of Canada. And soon thereafter, there may be a no confidence vote by the opposition. And if the NDP continues to hold to its promise of bringing down this government, then we will have elections, which means elections which were earlier supposed to be held in October 2025 might be advanced to as early as May 2025. And in that election, I think then the final contours of the new political dispensation will be made clear, whether the Liberals are set to lose, as the opinion polls are currently projecting, or the Conservatives come back to power with a huge majority, as per the current opinion polls. And I think once the Conservatives are in power, I do expect a very substantive reset in India-Canada relations for the simple reason that the new leader of the Conservative Party would want to show that where Trudeau wrecked the relationships, especially with the USA and with India, he's trying to restore them.
What about those elements who are dominant in Canadian politics, which are essentially seen as pro-Khalistani?
I think both parties are guilty of patronizing the Khalistanis, so let's not pick too many winners and losers there. But to me, the Khalistan issue can continue, and that should not stop India-Canada relations from reaching their true potential. So my sense is that the Conservatives will be much more open to looking at India's security concerns more seriously than Justin Trudeau did.
So then are you of the opinion that, because the Indian Canadians are really dominant in many ways in terms of the politics there, many are seeing this departure as bittersweet. They are talking about his immigration policy as well, which was seen as pro-India. Now what happens to all those engagement, and of course, particularly on the business side? Are you looking at economy taking center stage and issues of security perhaps will be dealt at a later stage?
No, my sense is that the economic portfolio and the security portfolio should go hand in hand. After all, the Conservatives, will come to power if they do on a platform of, better security for Canadians, better healthcare, lower taxes, and of course, a revamped immigration policy. Because the consensus on immigration, which had existed for so long, has finally been broken, I think because of the unchecked immigration that was allowed under the liberal regime. And that, I think, will be resetted. And that will, of course, cause some pain points for the Indian community as well. Because even under the liberals now, visitor visas for parents and grandparents are going to be made much more difficult. Indian students are finding it much more difficult to come to Canada for higher studies. So all those pain points will be there. And we should not expect those pain points to go away anytime soon till the immigration policy is completely revamped. But in the interim, what I suspect is some of the low-hanging fruits may be taken, such as restoration of the ambassadors, restoration of the diplomatic strength, faster visa processing, and of course, a much bigger impetus to trade and commerce. Because Justin Trudeau announced an Asia-Pacific policy, but he wrecked that Asia-Pacific policy, the Indo-Pacific policy, almost immediately, because the two engines of that policy, India and China, Canada has pretty bad relations with both of them at the moment.
Ambassador Swarup, my last question to you. During those 10 years of Justin Trudeau, there was a huge influx of immigrants from India. I'm looking at some data which actually suggested that the government's ambitious targets were included plan to welcome over 500,000 permanent residents annually by 2025. They were hoping to rejuvenate Canada's aging population. Now, all those policies take a hit and India will be at the receiving end. Are you sensing that could be the talking point going ahead in the elections? That when elections open up, when the campaigning begins, just as it happened in neighboring America, where immigrants were seen as infiltrators in many ways. Donald Trump talked about it the way he did. Similarly, Indians will be seen as outsiders intruding and taking away the plush and the important jobs in Canada.
No, I don't think so at all. In fact, I think the Indian community is pretty well respected in Canada. There is no such kind of a backlash as we have seen in America, particularly on the H-1B issue, particularly because I think Canada is not a great software superpower as the United States is, and it has not attracted as many Indian software engineers as the United States has. In fact, Canada was trying to lure the Indian software professionals from America to Canada, saying that, look, we have the same culture and the same time zone. And if you are not welcomed in America, please come to Canada and form a new Silicon Valley here. So I don't think that is an issue. Immigration certainly will be an issue in the Canadian elections, but not Indian immigration as say. India is not an issue in the Canadian elections. Yes, Justin Trudeau's handling of the relationship with India, with the United States, with China, with many other countries would certainly be under the scanner, where people will say that, look, he did not fulfill the promises that he had made in terms of diversifying Canada's external engagements. But Indian immigration will not be an issue. India is not going to be an issue. This is going to be fought mainly on domestic issues, the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis, the inflation, and the immigration.
All right, Vikas Swarup, pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for your time here on NDTV.
Thank you.